to you today about the 5 elements of a great med pass. If you pass meds, you know that there's a lot more than 5, but these are the 5 major basic areas that you should be concerned with when someone's watching you do a med pass, but also just on a day-to-day basis. Technical. More of this. These are the minimum standards, so make sure those orders match the meds. Triple check the labels, the orders, and everything, including the drug, when you're preparing those meds. Never, ever pass a medication that you've not prepared personally. Things happen. Residents fall down. It's the end of your shift. You've poured the meds. You have to go help the resident. You stick them in your cart. The next person comes on. Oh, I'll just pass them for you. Not legally allowable. Just not good sense. And such a chance to make errors and harm people, so we don't want to do that. You never ever pre-pour medications, no matter how much of a hurry you're in. I see a lot of those little souffle cups full of meds with little resident names on them lined up inside the carts when I open them up to do a check. We never want to do that. We don't save meds that weren't given. We don't put pills back in bottles, and we don't tape meds back into blister packs. If you've over-poured a liquid, you pour the rest of it into the garbage. You don't pour it back into the bottle. Nurses, guess what? Insulins, breathing treatments, skin treatments are medications, so all these rules apply. When I go to do med passes, I get brushed off by nurses all the time. Oh, well, I don't have any medications. Well, do you have insulin? Yeah. Do you have breathing treatments? Yeah. Do you have skin treatments? Yeah. Those are medications. So all these rules apply, and people should be watching your med pass. We all know about the 6 rights, right? It's the right med, the right dose, the right time, the right person, the right route, the right documentation. You want to learn those 6, you want to live them, you want to love them because they save lives. And they save you professionally. You don't want to make a mistake. We all get that feeling when we make a med error, and we've all made a med error. You don't want to harm people. So these 6 rights will help you not to do that. So the first one is it the right medication? Compare the medication to the medication order. Look at the medication. The med aids, I will tell you, have caught a lot of prescription misfills. Pharmacists make misfills. We don't like it, but we've all done it. And we thank you. If you find that before you give it to someone and you say, this pill does not look right, I don't think they filled it right, come tell someone. We are happy to look that up for you, checking the imprints on the pill. The right time. Are we giving it within the right time? Generally, we have an hour before or after, but some medications are more specific, like perhaps Carafate, 1 hour before a meal. Some meds are with a meal, like Foslo, for example. Some are at least a half an hour before meals. So we're talking about maybe your Prilosec or your Prevacid, those kind of things. Make sure it's the right dose. If you're a nurse and you're doing calculations, because remember in Texas, med aids aren't allowed to do calculations of this nature, double check your work. If possible, have another nurse check your calculation. I always have people do calculations with me. You just don't want to make a mistake. Make sure it's the right person. I've been involved in so many med errors where somebody gave the wrong medication to the wrong resident. So the resident wasn't on insulin but got insulin and went to the hospital. The resident wasn't on blood pressure medication but got blood pressure medication. A lot of the times it's people who are pool, who aren't working there all the time, but very often it's people who are tired, who are working doubles, who just got confused. Compare the picture to the resident. You should have a picture, ideally on the MAR. Verbally ID the resident. Hello, Mrs. Butcher. I am here to give you your meds. Well, I'm not Mrs. Butcher. Well, that's good for you. She stopped you from making a horrible mistake. Make sure it's the right route. Check, 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 triple check before giving that medication. We're not giving, vaginal suppositories by mouth, and that sounds ridiculous, but odd things do happen. Sometimes doctors will prescribe the eye drops as eardrops, and that's okay, but make sure that it's correct. But we never do eardrops as eye drops, so, the right route can be trickier than you might think. The right documentation. You're going to document before, you're going to document during, and you're going to document after. Before is mainly for those narcotics or those controlled substances. Once you pop one out, you have to write that down on the count sheet because you can't put it back in, and it's an inventory. And I get, oh, well, what if the resident doesn't take it? If the resident doesn't take it, you're going to document later that you wasted it on in there, but what you need to do is immediately when you pop it out or pour it out of the bottle, document on the count sheet, and that's before you give it to the resident. During. As you go on each resident, you were going to document which meds were given or not given, those kind of things. I don't want to see you going through and documenting on 15 people that you just passed, writing down every single med. You can't possibly remember everything accurately at that point. You just can't, and it's going to cause errors. And then after, if the med was refused or could not be given, you're going to document that as well.